Hey everyone, so let us talk about this lead code problem, word subsets. So you are given two string arrays, words 1 and words 2. A string B is a subset of string A if every letter in B occurs in A including multiplicity. So for example over here WRR. So we see that in this word warrior we are having W, R and R. Even though they are not together, their presence should be in this string. So W is present and two R's are present, but is not a subset of word. So over here, just one W is present and just one R is present. So this is not a valid string. Okay. So let's just consider an example over here. Let's say you have strings Amazon and Facebook. Okay. And what you need to check for is O and OO. So this is what you need to check. Now, if you consider this Amazon, we have one O present over here, and over here we have one O. But there are two O's are not present over here, even though we have one O. But in case of Facebook, when you check this, we have O which is present, yes. In the second uh, element of this array, O and O, there are two O's. So even two O's are present over here. So that is why this is a valid string. Okay. So here, what our approach is going to be is uh, we know that uh, this words, the words 1 and words 2, they both are all small case characters, okay, which is basically which is equal to between A and Z. Okay, so what we can take is we can take help of an array consisting of 26, sorry, we can take an array consisting of 26 characters or an array of size 26, okay, which will represent the occurrences of each character in the string. For that, what we'll do is for words to array, let's say we have O and OO as our requirement. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll find out what is the index of this O. Basically, A will be at index 0. Okay. So on the 0th index, we'll have occurrences of A. Okay. Similarly, for some index, let's say X, which is for O, over here, we'll figure out what is the maximum occurrence. So we have one occurrence over here and we have two occurrences over here. So basically, when we check in our words one array, we'll be checking for that word which will have maximum of two zeros, or sorry, two O's over here, which I said Facebook. If you consider this example, Facebook, we have one O also over here and we have two O's over here. So that means what we'll do is in this occurrences array, we'll store the count. We'll say that, okay, maximum of two O's should be present in our words one string. Okay, so here our words, this will be our words two occurrence array. Okay, which will store all the count of the characters. So over here there is A is 0, then there is B which is 0, C which is going to be 0, but O is going to be 2, the maximum count. And what we'll do is we'll run a while loop. What we'll do is for each string over here in our words one array, similarly we'll have an occurrence. So let's say some X and over say let's say Y. We'll have a occurrence array. Even for words one, all the strings. Let's say if there are 10 strings over here, then we'll have 10 occurrences array, which will each array will be of size 26, starting from 0 to 25. And we'll store the count of this X over here. So for example, X is let's say on 23 or 22 something. Its occurrence over here is 24. Its occurrence 23. Its occurrence over here is 3. Then 24 is y over here. Its occurrence is also 3. Okay. Now what we'll do is we'll check in our occurrence array, this array, which is basically for words too. We'll compare these two arrays. For this string, we have this array. For this string, sorry, we'll have another array over here for y at 24th position. This. So what we'll do is we'll take this array, we'll check. In our occurrence array, do we have O over here in this? If it is not present, that means this string is not the valid string. Similarly, over here, we check for this string y in our occurrences array. Does on the 24th position there are three? Sorry, we'll check this occurrence array with these strings, and we'll say, okay, on the some x position we have two O's. So in this same array, do we have two O's or even greater than two O's over here? If yes, then this is part of the string. All right. So this will become much easier, when we start writing the code. So let me start working on the code. Okay. So first I'll work with words to array because I want to have the occurrences. So let's work with words to. Okay. And words to will basically have a combination, a frequency combination of all these different words. Okay. So if in the third element over here we have two O's, then a total of two O's, which is maximum, should be present in our occurrence array. Okay. So let's call this max occurrence array, which will be a number array. Okay. And it will be of size 26. So we'll have to initialize it of size 26 and we'll fill it with 0 by default. Okay, so this is going to be our max occurrence array. Now, what we need to do is we need to run a for loop on this words too. Okay, so we'll say for let I equal to 0, I less than words 2 dot length I plus plus. All right, and we'll get an occurrence array for each element over here. So we'll say let occurrence, which is going to be a number, be equal to get occurrence of words to of I. So I'm just going to write another function so it becomes easier to read the code. Okay. So let me write another function, and this is going to have a word which will be of type string, and it will return an array of numbers. Okay. So over here we'll say let O, which is going to be a number array, be equal to new array of size 26 dot fill with 0. So I'm just writing whatever code that I have to write over here. Basically, I'm just writing it, abstracting it out in another function. Okay. And then I'm going to return O, sorry, O occurrence. Now what I need to do is I need to run a for loop on the word. So for let x equal to 0, or I'll just say string or say character. Let c equal to 0, c less than word dot length c plus plus. Okay. And what I'm going to say is O of word of C. So the first character over here, let's say we have some string which is, let's say, bet. Okay. So in this for loop, basically for bet, we'll take first B, okay, and then we'll put it inside an array for its occurrence. So word of C dot to char code at on the zeroth element minus A dot char code at. Okay, so let's say B, the character code of B is 98 and the character code of A is 97. So 98 minus 97 is going to give you 1. So on the O of first index, we'll say plus equal to 1 because initially we have initialized it to 0. So it is going to be 0 plus 1, which is going to be 1. So B will be having the frequency of 1. Okay, then we'll come to the next element, which is A, because I'm considering, for example, the string is bet. Then it will come to A, and it will say, okay, A minus A, which is going to be 0. So on the 0th index, value of A is 1. Okay, and then T. Now let's say we have a character like book. So B will be on the first index of C. C of 1 will be 1. Then C of, let's say, some 18 or 19, where O is, it will be 2 because we have two occurrences of O. So plus 1 will give you 2. Okay. And then it will return this array O. So this array is size 26. It will have the frequency of all the characters. Okay. In this words 2 over here. Now we have got the occurrences, but we also have to check for the situation where I just explained over here that we have two O's. There's one O and there is one more two O's over here. So we don't have to say three O's over here. It doesn't mean that, the word that we are going to check the subset for should have three O's. It should only have two O's, a maximum of two. It should also have one O and it should also have two O's. Okay. So even this is the situation, that time you need to have a max occurrence array. So what we'll do is we'll run a for loop on 26 characters. So we'll say for let j equal to 0, j less than 26, j plus plus. And what we'll say is max occurrence, or your max occurrence of j will be equal to math.max j comma occurrence of this. Okay, occurrences of j. So if you consider the example of O and double O. So first iteration over here, let's just write it down over here. So we have this array which consists of O and O. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll run a while loop, for loop on this words too. So first time in this we'll get 0 over here. Oh, sorry, O over here, and it will put inside this occurrence array. Okay. Then it will go and put it inside this max occurrence array, which will say that which is maximum. Over here, 1 is maximum. Why? Because we have one occurrence of O. And over here, initially it was 0. So we'll say, okay, this max occurrence of O, which is, let's say, some index 15 or 20 or something, is going to be 1. Then our for loop in the next iteration of the for loop, it will come over here for double O's. we'll get again a 26 character, sorry, a 26 size array. It will say, okay, the count of O is 2. But what is the count of O over here in our max occurrence array? It is 1. So which is maximum? 2 is maximum. So consider that our words 2 has total of 2 O's, which we need to check for the subsets. I hope this is clear. Okay, so now we have got max occurrence over here, which means that we have taken care of the words to array. We have figured out, okay, what are the frequency of characters in this words to. Now what we need to do is we need to check our words one array. So words one. We'll do the same thing. We'll go on a for loop. So for let, we'll use I only over here because this is a new for loop. We'll say I less than words one dot length I plus plus. Now we are running a loop on this strings in the words one array, and we are going to get occurrences. So we'll say let check, which is going to be a number array, be equal to when we'll call this function. So it was good that we now extracted this function over here, and we'll say words one dot words one of I. So what is going to happen here is we'll run a for loop on this words array. In the first iteration, when I is equal to 0, we'll take Amazon and we'll pass it to this function, which is going to return us a array 26 character 26 size array consisting of the frequency of the characters. So we'll get two A's, then one M, one Z, one O, and one N over here in the check. This is going to be an array, check array. Now I'm going to go and run a for loop on this check array as well as on this max occurrence array. And I'm going to say, does, because these are both 26 characters and we have got the frequency of characters in it. So we have got that in our check array, we have frequency count of A as 2. And in our max occurrences array, we have A as 0. Okay, so we need to check now. So what we'll check? We run a for loop for 26 times. We'll say for let x equal to 0, x less than 26, x plus plus. What we'll say is that we'll say now that in this check array, what is the count of the characters and is it lesser than what is present in this max occurrence array? If it is lesser, that means, oh, we have missed the character. So let's say, for example, over here, E is 0, but over here, E is 1. Since over here, E is lesser than over here, the frequency of E is 0, and over here, E is 1. So it is lesser than over what is there over here in words 2. That means we have to return false. Okay, so we'll check. If check of I is less than max occurrence, this max occurrence of I. So what it says is, okay, uh, for Amazon and over here E and O. Okay, so it's a we'll say on this, sorry, it has to be X over here. We're checking for X. The for loop is going to run for X. So it says, okay, check of 0, which is going to be A. Is count of A less than max occurrence count of A? No, because over here it is 2 and over here in this max occurrence there is no A over here, so it is going to be 0. It will come to B, it will come to C, it will come to D, it will come to E. So we'll say, okay, check of E. What is the check of E? Check of E over here is 0 because there are no E's over here. But in max occurrence, check of E is 1. So 0 is less than 1. Yes, it is less than 1. That means this is a false value. We have to ignore it. So we'll say found equal to false and will break. So that means we'll have to initialize a boolean over here. So let found boolean which is equal to true. We'll assume that okay, the whatever words that we're checking from words one is always going to be present. First we'll assume that. Then we'll go on a for loop journey and we'll say okay, we have found some discrepancy. The count that we were expecting of E is not found in this string Amazon. That means okay, this is going to be a false value. We have to exclude it. Okay, so after this found is false, we break it immediately. Because we know even one character is not found, that means the entire word has to be skipped. So we'll say break, we'll get out of this for loop and then we'll check. If our found is true, that means we have to have an output array. Okay, so I can initialize the output array over here. So let output be of type string array, which is going to be equal to some empty array. And I'll say output dot push uh, output dot push words one of I, because this is a good string and it's a subset. Sorry, yes, words 2, the characters in words 2 are present in words 1. So this is a good string and we'll put it in our output. Okay, so after this for loop has ran, this inside for loop has ran, and we have got these words, and after the for outer for loop has ran, we can say a return output. All right. So let us run this code because yes, okay, this looks good and I hope it runs. So let's run and see if we have any errors. All right, so test cases have been accepted. Let's submit it. Okay, so we have got an acceptance. All right, thank you.